Welcome back to Straight Talk No Chaser, the place where we sip truth and pour it straight. Tonight we're diving into something that hits every home in America. These kids and their screens, from smartphones to PlayStations, from TikTok to Fortnite. Are we still raising our kids, or are the screens doing it for us? I got the crew in the building. Miss Debbie is here.
I'm here. I'm ready to talk about it. I want to give it to you straight, though.
Also, we got the Professor Sheldon T. Nunn in the building.
None better, none finer, none kinder than I. The A that are, the I that is, the am what am, and the it without the hit.
Let's talk about how this digital age is shaping and maybe even raising the next generation. The average child spends 6 to 8 hours a day on screens, not including schoolwork. 1 in 5 kids admits they feel addicted to their phones. Kids who play video games for more than 3 hours a day are twice as likely to have attention issues. The American Academy of Pediatrics recommend no more than 2 hours of recreational screen time daily, but over 70% of parents say that's impossible. So we got a generation of kids who can swipe before they can spell, but can't hold a conversation longer than a TikTok. Let's break it down. Professor, what you got?
Well, I think in this new age of technology we live in, we found substitute babysitters. Parents don't necessarily have to know what the kid is doing as long as they know they're in their room, and they automatically assume that just because they're on the phone or on their pads, notepads, that they are safe. But you have no idea what they are safe from because you've relegated the phone and the pad as a babysitter. So oddly enough, our parents knew exactly what we were doing and when we were doing it. What changed, Deborah?
Well, what changed is time changed, because remember, we didn't have anything, a radio, a TV, and
Record
outdoors. So basically, if you look at the time that we spend outdoors and compare it to the time they spend on the computer, it's the same. It's the same. You stayed outside until the street lights came on. And only time you came in was to get some water, because you better not mess with nothing else, because you was going to be in trouble. So I say that because of the technology and the kids are able to have more devices, that they are being babysitted by the computer is the babysitter. However, parents need to be more conscious of who their children are playing games with and what's going on. The difference between the computer and outdoors is that our parents could really see what we were involved in. And that's where the danger comes in, is because there is no check and balance system unless you have your kids locked out of stuff.
Exactly. And parents nowadays, you work hard. A lot of kids are growing up in single-family environments whereby the resident parent doesn't necessarily have the time nor the patience to monitor what their child is doing at any given moment. So oftentimes, after a hard day on the job or a rough day coming home, commuting back and forth to work, you're all upset. It's okay that the kid is on the phone or on their iPad or whatever the case may be, but when errant behavior erupts, then you don't really know why, because you haven't had that contact with the kid. When a kid comes in from outside playing in our day, your parents automatically knew what's wrong, because they could see your facial expression, they could see your body demeanor. But nowadays, if the kid's locked up in the bedroom, we didn't have the luxury of closing the door, locked up, talking on the phone, which was the only entertainment outlet we had at that particular time, where we communicated to individuals. But we don't have those kind of checks and balances anymore. And we choose to let our kids find out whatever they want to know, entertain themselves on whatever they're doing, and keeps us out of harm's way. Parentally.
But do you think that with new technology, how do you think that it's evolving to where the cell phones may be a necessity.
Cell phones are a necessity, no doubt, because it puts us in easier communication with our loved ones and those individuals that we need to talk to when we can't get to us. We don't even know what a payphone is anymore. I think those are obsolete, but cell phones just really made communication easier. But it opened up another can of worms that we were not quite prepared for. You know, cell phones open up a new generation of communication, but we didn't look at the ramifications long term and what it would ultimately lead to.
Right, but to piggyback, do you really think little children need cell phones?
No.
I think they don't need them. I just think that when you would almost have to have that phone. I mean, pedophiles, they get on all of the social media looking for victims. And when you look at how many kids and the people that are missing, a lot of people were met through social media. Mm-hmm. So if I had small kids, I would have all my stuff locked down. You probably couldn't even get on those TikToks and all that because I don't know the things they show you, the challenges they have. You know, they got the thing now going on where you do something with the egg and the egg explode. I'm not for sure what it is, but I did kind of look at it a little. But I think that parents have to just be more proactive. I mean, I'm going to give you this phone, but I think when it's time to go to bed, you shouldn't take your phone to your bedroom. Right. You got to say, no, I have to protect you. But a lot of times, in order to not seem like the bad parent,
you allow them to do what they want to do with it.
Allow them what they want to do. But in the long run, who really suffers, Mike? Who suffers? The children. Because when they go to school, you know, some schools now, I heard, ban
put them in a box.
You cannot have your cell phone
right.
out.
You put them in a box upon entering the school.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So and that's the thing. You don't need a cell phone to go to school.
No.
I mean, you know, you hear parents all the time say, well, I need to know where my child lives at all times. Well, didn't you drop them off at school? So what, I mean, if you dropped them off at school, what they need a cell phone for?
And then the other side of the coin with that is, you're absolutely correct on that one. But the other side of the coin, as a parent, it's up to you to monitor that phone. Go back, you know, get their phone every now and again and look at the history, where they've been, what sites they've been on.
But you have parental control. You have parental controls that you can set on the phone. So, but the average parent doesn't do that.
Right.
They just give the child the phone and let them do whatever it is that they want to do with it without setting those parental controls, keeping them from off of certain sites.
Right.
A child has no business with access to TikTok, Facebook, Instagram.
No.
They have no business. At 9 years old, you got them doing more dances than a grown person.
Right.
Yes.
That's true. You're right about that, because I think really that the influence is making parenting more difficult because of what they are seeing in social media. Mm. You know, you can Google when I don't want to respect my mom. Some kid gonna come on there and tell you exactly what you need to do. So you're right. I think that anytime you're gonna give your kid any type of device that you're not on the other end, you should have taken them through steps and allowed them to, like Mike said, lock them out of everything. Mm-hmm. You can what? Well, Mike, they can Google. But still, you can put it where you can't Google X-rated stuff.
Well,
too.
if you can still set parental guidelines even on Google. So you can get on there, set them any websites that's for 18 and up or set whatever. Mm-hmm. So you can still set those guidelines to where they can't visit certain sites.
Okay.
And then too, you need your child to have a cell phone. They still sell flip phones.
Right.
That where you can't get on you can't get on the. It ain't about but it's not what they want. That's the thing. We're not parenting.
Right.
If you worrying about what they want versus what they need, if you saying that I need to stay communicated with stay in communication with my child.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with the flip phone?
So let me throw it back at you. Let's say you're 11. Everybody got a cell phone. How do you think that you would act out if you didn't have it?
Of course.
If you can act out, but guess what's on the other end? An ass whooping. That's what's on the other end, an ass whooping.
Okay, so let me throw it back at you again, Sheldon. You got 3 children. They go to school. All their friends got cell phones. Everybody's TikToking. How do you not be the bad parent?
You have to be the bad parent sometimes because as my family always told me whenever I brought up other kids, they would always say, I'm not raising other kids, I'm raising you, which means that it's my responsibility to raise you the way that I want you to be as an adult. But by and large, how many parents actually sit down with that child when they give them that phone and explain the guidelines and what the consequences are? Because you have to be a parent. It doesn't, just because you're giving that child additional recreation, because that's typically what it ends up being, recreational activity, just because you're providing an emotional outlet or a psychological outlet or what social outlet, whatever that is, you still have the responsibility of monitoring what that child is doing. It's the same as if you would monitor what your child was doing when you dropped them off. You wanted to know who was going to be in charge, how long it was going to be, whatever the case may be. We just give them the phone willy-nilly and say, hey, go for it. And then to the other side, a lot of parents, Mike, don't know how to do what you suggest. Go out there and find this, find the restricted sites, do whatever. So a lot of parents are not computer literate enough to really know how to go in and figure out how to operate the phone.
But when you buy the phone, you can talk to the sales associate, the sales rep, and tell them, this is for my child. I need to set parental guidelines on it. They will walk you through the process on doing that. So it's no excuse for a child to be, at 8, 9 years old, what do a child need a cell phone for at 8 or 9 years old? I've seen as young as 5 years old have a cell phone and a tablet.
Exactly.
Right. Well, they say they play games. That's what.
But you remember the leapfrog?
Yes.
That's what your tablet is, the leapfrog. You don't need to access the internet to sit there and have learning games. Yeah, the learning games are on the tablet and all that, but you still have leapfrog that teaches you the ABCs, the colors, and all that. So it's other options versus that cell phone.
Right. You're absolutely right.
Of course there are other options, but how many, nowadays when you look at the fast pace of society, we're moving much too fast. Every day it just is transparent to the next day. Before you know it, a whole week is going by. How many parents actually take the time to be a parent beyond the fact of I'm mama and you daddy, and he's daddy? Mom and daddy means a whole lot more than father and mother. Father and mother simply says that you can birth a child, but mommy and daddy says that what? You're a parent. You're monitoring that child's behavior. You're overseeing their outside activities and even the things that they don't understand. You're their protector. But parents nowadays, I just don't have time to, da-da-da-da-da.
Well, I heard a parent tell me that sometime when your kids are acting out because they don't know why you're doing certain things to them, they should have space for expression. So when they're hollering and they're allowing them to express themselves, and I couldn't understand that, and it was because the mother did take the cell phone, and the child just got all stiff but the mother said, oh, he'll be all right.
And then we also have to look at the flip side of it too. Now, you when we were growing up, and I know it's a age gap, but we didn't hear about ADD attention deficit disorder. But if you look at it, the more time that you allow that child to stay on that phone, the more time that you allow that child to stay on that video game, you're actually setting them up for attention deficit disorder. Because guess what? They're not going to be able to focus without either or. Mm-hmm. So you, as a parent, you're actually contributing to this child getting ADD. Because when they go to school, what they want to do, sit up at the desk and play on the phones. That's why they starting to implement rules to change this whole bringing your cell phone to school.
Mm-hmm. I like the new rule. I think that that's a great thing because, you know, education is so important. And when kids are being distracted, and, you know, I think about, even with my grandchildren, do you really read books anymore? Or do you read on your phone? Do you really you don't have to bring books home from school. You just do your homework. But I think that, we want everything to be modern. We want everything. But sometimes you got to reach back and put guidelines in place. And it doesn't matter how they feel, because once they get grown, if you be the right parent, they're going to respect you for being who you were to them.
Is there any such thing as parental guidelines anymore?
Mike?
I mean, yeah, it's a certain thing, but do parents utilize those guidelines? Mm-hmm. The average parent, no. Why? Because they don't want the talk back. They don't want to seem like the bad parent. Mm-hmm. But it's no such thing as a bad parent. Either you're going to parent or you're not going to parent.
Right.
But we know what not parenting is going to get you.
But even when you do, now we all have heard situations whereby these kids do act out. There was a case that was reported on the internet where this lady took her student's cell phone, and he literally beat her into submission. I mean, he literally took her out because he jumped on her. He was a big guy about your size, and she was a little bitty woman, but because she took his phone because he was not paying attention in class, he immediately physically abused her. And you hear cases where children do something irrational to the parent or to the to the opposing party that goes against what they want them to do. You hear that situation whereby you are, as a parent, you have to be afraid because there may be a wanted poster out on you put out by your kid.
No, but the thing about it is, it all starts at home. It starts at home. A child, the structure that a child has at home is going to display what he does out in public.
What he's doing.
Peer pressure is out there. Mm-hmm. But still, if you're raising your child properly, that child's not going to worry about peer pressure because guess what? He already know. If I get out of line, I know what's waiting on me when I get home. Exactly. That was the fear that we had back then.
Right.
But what has happened to it now?
You've taken parental control away from the parents because, there was no time out. There was no go to your room.
Time out.
There was no.
Did he just say time out?
Yeah, but
who in the black community heard about some time out?
But what I'm saying is those are the kinds of things that you hear today, whereby the parent, they've taken parental control from the parent, whereby the kid now knows if you hit me, I'm going to call CPS.
And guess what? When CPS arrive, you can take Lil John with you. Because as soon as you leave, he's going to get his ass beat.
Again.
Of course, but how many parents have the courage,
right,
like you said earlier, they just decide, okay, I don't want to have no argument with that kid.
Right, they get along, they get along.
They're trying to get along with the kid rather than be a parent to the child. So a lot of parents are afraid of confrontation with their children. So it's easier just to let them go ahead on about their business and do whatever they want to do and suffer the consequences later. You hear a lot of parents say, well, I'll deal with that later, right now.
Right.
And that's not the parental way. Our parents said, I'm going to deal with you right now, dude or chick. Whatever you did at time, punishment was swift and it was also deliberate.
It's now time to take it to the DM dive. This DM is coming from Dallas. My teen won't talk to me, but will game for 6 hours straight with friends online. How do I break through without causing World War III? Miss Debbie.
Unplug it. Put a timer on it. You're the parent. There, you don't have to compromise. Put a timer on it. We go to work. We only have 1 hour for lunch and 2 15-minute breaks. Put a timer on it. Let them know that discipline is a part of growth. You're not going to be on there that long. I don't care if you have nothing to do. Find you an alternative. Do a science project with your kids. Get your kids ready for something other than the computer, AI, Chat GPT. Just get them away from always letting a machine think for them. When they're playing those games, it's already been programmed to go through so many of those screens. I mean, somebody sit down and program that. So you have to be the parent, like you said, Mike. You got to say, this is how we do it. Now, once you become an adult and you have, you feel like now everything that I taught you and exposed you to, you're ready to go in the world to make your own path. Then you can play the game day and night. You could be a professional gamer. But right now, I want to structure you. There's still biology. There's still algebra. Of course, you can do it on the computer, and it's going to add it out, put it out there. But when you really can use your mind to calculate and do things, you're going to grow. And I think that's one thing we have to tell them. If you're playing games, how am I helping you to grow? Because I'm not helping you to grow if I'm letting you play 6 hours with your friends.
Sheldon, how do you break through?
I honestly believe that if you're a child growing up in my household, you don't have a password that I don't know about. I want to know your password. I want to know your username so that if I decide to go in and check your history and know where you've been and who you've been talking to, and I can do that anytime, spot inspection. Let's have a spot inspection to see where you are. But the responsibility goes back to me. If I'm going to give my child a cell phone, first of all, we're going to have a conversation. And the conversation is that there are no secrets on your cell phone. There really aren't. Because there's nothing you should be talking about that I should know about as your parent.
Right.
And so you have to figure out safety measures to protect you as a parent and to protect your child from what goes on in cyberspace. Because once it's out there, you can't bring it back because you don't know where to go to find it. There's no paper trail per se.
So how do you get little Junior off that game? He wants to play 6 to 8 hours every day with his friends.
It's simple. Do the old school thing. Pull the damn card. And I bet you when you pull that card or you disconnect him from that Wi-Fi, I bet you his little ass will come looking for you then. I guarantee you he's gonna want to talk.
He's gonna be upset with you.
That's okay.
What are you gonna say?
We're opening up the doors of communication.
What you gonna say?
You don't. This is my house. I run this house.
Dad, that wasn't fair. What you done?
I run this house. These are my rules. When you grown, or when you turn 18 and you can go pay your own bills, or when look here, when you're 14 and can go pay your own bills, you can have all the rules you want to. But under my house, it's gonna be my rules. Simple. Parents, start parenting. Stop letting the kids negotiate. It's no negotiation in parenting.
No, it isn't.
It isn't. But it's a lot, like you said earlier, it's easier to let a child run willy-nilly because that way you don't have to deal with it or the consequences thereof.
Right. So that make a lot of sense. Like you said, Mike, hey, I'm not finna run because you're sitting over there and you're not talking to me. Because some parents might feel like, well, I want to give in because I don't want my child to quit talking to me or just don't have nothing to say, just sitting over there looking.
That's fine. It's okay not to talk to me. It's fine to look crazy all day. Because guess what? it still stands. You will not be on the game. You will not be on that cell phone all night. That's just like sitting at the dinner table. A child has no business at the dinner table with the cell phone.
I feel like that about adults too. So
Yes, that's
I have
that's
a
both.
problem
But
with
how
that.
can you correct it when you're doing it?
Well, I don't do it. I have a problem with, and you know what? You just made a point. Because if your children are watching your behavior at the dinner table and you got your phone out, we're eating, nobody's talking, I think you're right. We got to lay some new ground rules about the electronic devices. Certain times we shouldn't have them. During family time, let's have family time where we talk and we don't have any phones with us, or we not trying to text. I mean, you don't have those many messages with you.
But is family time even much a thing in the household now?
No.
No.
We have to make it. We can make time for anything that we want. It could be 30 minutes. It could be anything. When we want to see a movie that's come on, we make time to be there, sitting in a spot for 8 o'clock, waiting for the continuance going on of the episodes. So I think the bottom line is that parents have to understand that you do not have to compromise. You are the boss. You are the leader. You are the creator. You gotta let your kids know that I'm not gonna have you with a cell phone with your fingerprint. I can't get in it if your fingerprint is on it. Who taught you to lock your phone like that?
Exactly.
Because we finna lock it. We finna unlock it right now. But don't worry about if they're gonna pout or they gonna act a certain way. They are testing your skills as a parent.
But chances are, now, and the cell phones have been around since the 90s. Late 80s, early 90s, and we've seen the progression of usage. Because when we first got it, we were just happy to be able to call somebody, and talk to them on the phone. We didn't have access to the internet. Early phones did not have access to the internet. So we were content with just being able to talk, out on the road or be able to call someone when we were in the car. But see, the generation since the 90s, they've evolved as well as technology, whereby my parents exhibited the same behavior that this generation of kids are exhibiting. In other words, their parents allowed them to create the kind of environment that you're talking about. So you're accustomed to that. Now you're transferring that over to the next generation. And the next generation is even worse than the previous generation. And so now you have to do what? You have to try to latch on to it and be a parent again. No one really knows how to be a parent nowadays.
No.
No one really knows because we're too busy trying to be what?
Their friend.
Their friend.
And here's the last shot. We're the last generation that knew both worlds, before and after the screen. We owe it to our kids to teach balance. Technology should help our homes, not hijack them. And this is tonight's episode of Straight Talk No Chaser. Screens, streams, and Sanity are phones and games raising our kids. Big thanks to Ms. Debbie, also Professor Sheldon T. Nunn, for keeping it real and keeping it honest. Until then, put down the phone, turn off the console, and have a real conversation with somebody you love. This is Straight Talk No Chaser, where we sip truth and pour it straight. And we're out.